Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to unpack here on Rapport Wednesday, and for that, Mike Gittens joins us now because, Mike, as you mentioned when you walked into the studio, it has been quite the 72 hours. Wow. A lot to dive into. Your head still spinning?
Yeah, I mean, since the Georgia game on Saturday, it was not the result a lot of fans wanted. Another game where Auburn struggled mightily offensively. And Hugh Freeze, in the face of that, is searching for answers that he can provide to fans to say that this is going to be different. Now I asked him some tough questions at the press conference, and there was a bit of defiance in his tone, but you get the sense that he understands now the enormous pressure that is going to be on the back half of this season to get wins. Missouri's up next. This was a brutal stretch for Auburn football where I think you play number 9, 10, 11, and 16 in subsequent weeks. So they've got to get it. They've got to start winning. You're 0-3 in SEC play. It is not where Auburn wanted to be.
Of course not.
We had 4-2 as the mark.
Right.
And 3-3 is just, I mean, again, that's how 4-2 you're doing great. 3-3. The sky is falling, and on this very segment, every single week we pointed to that about the importance of making sure you got one of those first 3 SEC games. 2
of them looked very winnable. I mean, Texas A&M turned out to be just they're a monster turning into that now.
And Oklahoma was stolen from them, Rex.
Oklahoma was. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to officiating, of course. Now, before we start though, the roster looks very different for Auburn, mostly because Damari Alston, who got the starting job, but then obviously Jermaine Cobb played so well that he started getting more of the reps. He is no longer with Auburn. Now, there's been a lot that's been said. Did he quit? Did he redshirt? What's happening? All we know is when you watch the Auburn Tigers play for the next few Saturdays, Damari Alston will not be there. Mike, you helped clear this up on your channel, but you've also mentioned to us that you got a really good source who helped try to explain what was going on with Damari Alston.
Well, the source was Coach Hugh Freeze.
Well, there you go.
And look, when the words that we use matter,
right?
And that's the conversation that I had with him. When you say that a player did not live up to team expectations, that's what you say when there's an incident, but you don't want to tell us what the incident is. So he wanted to clarify that his statement was in no way meant to be demeaning of Damari as a man and as a teammate. He has done everything that Auburn has asked of him up to this point, and what this boils down to is a disagreement about how to manage the rest of this year as far as his career is concerned. And I want to make this plain and simple for the people at home. He doesn't want to waste a year of eligibility right at this usage rate and with the way that things are going. Now, some people will look at that and say, well, he quit. And others will say, well, asking for a red shirt is not quitting because you're not leaving the team. You're still practicing. You are still going through all the weekly and daily things with the team. You are there. And you always, of course, have the option to pull the red shirt at any point and play.
What they call, quote unquote, burning the red shirt.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that it got out as fast as it did because the conversations were had on Sunday. And then by Monday, before our weekly presser, the news was out. And it was the first question asked of Coach Hugh Freeze. I think that if it stays under wraps, both sides have an opportunity to reverse course once emotions settle. And but that's not what happened here. And I think, for what it's worth, Damari feels confident in his decision. But the idea that he quit on his team is something that I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with that language. So, look, I mean, we could argue the semantics of whether he quit or didn't. The bottom line is he thought that redshirting was in his best interest. Coach Hugh Freeze disagreed with him. And look, on the other end, there are some valid reasons why you may not be able to let a kid redshirt himself mid-season. Mostly the money.
Yeah.
Right? Financial commitments have been made, and I would have questions about how maybe his NIL contract was structured and whether or not it is a good idea legally for Auburn to allow him to do this, or is this a precedent do you want to set with your team to say, I'm going to allow players to do this? So there's some things that definitely have to be worked out, I think, contractually
Of course.
with this. But it does, man. I think it's all a result of this team not being where they should be at the midway point. And that's the overarching thing is you're losing.
Yeah.
And when you're losing, guys are unhappy. Guys want a red shirt. Guys are trying to make business decisions. And hopefully, on Damari's end, he gets good advice moving forward because, I don't know if I would have managed it this way if I were in his shoes, given the money aspect of everything. But moving forward, certainly you need to make sure that you're getting the right advice from the right people because you don't only have so much eligibility left.
That's
and
fair.
you're doing this to try to save what's left of some of your eligibility to be able to play football someplace where he's going to get more snaps. And unfortunately, it won't be Auburn.
How does the locker room respond to this? How do you anticipate that? Because Damari was one of those names we were expected to call plenty of times on Saturday. With him gone, the running back room does look a little different. We do have a local guy, Auburn High's Omar Mabson, has an opportunity to get more.
He's number 2.
How does the locker room look at that?
Omar is a dog.
Okay.
And he's gonna play. And Damari himself, for what it's worth, told me before the season started that Omar was really good and that he was going to play this year. I don't know if he would have foreseen Omar playing under these circumstances.
That's fair.
But think about what's happened in your running back room. In game 1, your number 1 at the time, Damari, gets hurt. After he gets hurt, Rex, Jeremiah Cobb gets a field promotion. I thought they were just kind of resting up Damari because he played well against Baylor.
Right.
But then Darrell Robinson has a freak accident before you get to conference play, the freak injury. And you're suddenly, what was a very deep room is very thin. Now you've got the freshman Alvin Henderson kind of waiting in the wings there. But I think that there's a thought about him, same thing. Do you want to pull the emergency ripcord on his season and burn his red shirt?
Right.
So, or do you promote Omar and go from there? There's a lot of talent in that running back room. Damari would tell you that, if he were sitting here talking with us. And I think Auburn is going to be okay.
All right.
Right? I think they're going to be okay at running back. The bigger issue is, are you going to run the ball?
That part.
and because it doesn't matter who you have in there. Like, again, we're another game where, Jeremiah hit double-digit carries, but not by much. And I think he maybe had 12 carries, and Damari had 7 carries. And
it's really crazy to see those kind of you understand his frustrations because I think we talked about one game that they lost. There was a total of 12 carries each or less. It was less than 10 carries with Cobb and Damari combined.
Yeah,
and I was like,
he had
come on.
I think Texas A&M maybe.
That was it. That was the game.
He had 6 and Damari had 2.
2.
And they had 8 carries combined. And I'm thinking,
what are we doing?
Well, I don't know in a scenario where your lead back is getting 6 carries that it's a matter of who is starting or playing more.
Because they're not running the
There were
ball.
only 8 carries to go around. So your quarterback is carrying the ball, whether it's on schedule or off schedule, more than your 2 running backs combined in some of these games. Hugh Freeze told us that they had to get back to running the ball in the lead up to Georgia. You had the bye week to prepare, and it just did not look the way that it should have looked in the second half.
Right.
Now, we talked about this after. It was my last question to him yesterday. There have been a number of calls, Rex, that have gone against Auburn.
Right.
And I have languished watching the TV thinking, how many unlucky breaks can one team get in a 3-game stretch?
You're not the only one who thinks this.
So, I wanted to see if there was some follow-up between Hugh Freeze and the league about these calls going against Auburn. The most notable ones from Saturday are Jackson Arnold scored a touchdown on the field at the end of the first half. Yeah, it was.
And even with the control, right? Because people were arguing he didn't have control. Did he have full control? But the ball crossed the plane.
Yeah, the tip of the ball just has to break the plane.
Okay.
And that's a touchdown.
Okay.
And the fact that it was not called a touchdown on the field was absolutely insane.
Okay.
So you put yourself in a position as officiating crew where now it's, do I have incontrovertible evidence to overturn the bad call I made rather than sticking with the call on the field? So they got that wrong. And then there was the after you had one of the dumbest roughing the passers I've seen. I mean, it felt like the officials personally escorted Georgia down the field for 3 points at the end of the second quarter. And I kept thinking, this is such a bizarre sequence where that was a 10-point swing there in a game that you lost by what?
Yeah.
10 points.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say that SEC officiating is ruining the product. And there have been bad moments, but I don't know if I've ever seen a stretch like this for every single team or for a single team where fans, analysts from every corner,
all of us watching and consuming the product.
Yeah, not just Auburn people,
right,
saying this Auburn is getting jobbed here.
Right, they're getting absolutely hosed. It's a crazy call because again, Oklahoma, we had some bad ones there. This one, and the other thing with. I wanted to get your reaction to this. Kirby Smart's explanation of the timeout that wasn't a timeout.
That's where I was going next.
So you have what happened with Jackson. And let me ask you this first. Auburn goes up 17-0 at that point. Does Auburn have the better chance to win the game with all the momentum?
They absolutely do. Now, is there a chance that they still blow it? If you're going to only put up 40 yards of offense in the second half. Yeah.
But you also manage that game differently when you have that big of a lead.
Fair enough. There's a causality to things, right? Is Georgia deflated at that point? My answer to that question is probably no. I mean, they were down pretty big on the road in Neyland, and they
stormed back in that one. That was absolutely crazy.
Those guys just have a belief that they're going to win all the time, and you knew halftime adjustments were coming.
Of course.
So while Auburn only gave up 78 yards of offense total in the first half
against Georgia, that is crazy.
Yeah, it was Georgia delivered, and what I would say was an even better defensive performance versus Auburn in the second half, and it canceled out because Auburn is struggling to put the ball in the end zone. It has been an issue under Hugh Freeze versus Baylor. It looked like it had been solved, and now we're in conference play, and a lot of the same issues keep rearing their heads. One of the questions that I've had for Coach Freeze is, at what point are the lack of execution moments a reflection of the leadership and practice and the process by which you prepare? Too many of the same things are happening.
We had a former player mention he was very critical of that whole
situation. He was very, very critical of off-season preparation, and it's catching up to you in season. So accountability, what does accountability look like? That was the question I had for him. I'm shocked, Rex, that nobody got fired after Texas A&M.
Very fair.
And I don't take calling for somebody's firing lightly.
Seismic shifts were kind of expected, though. You're heading into that bye week. Yeah. You're not playing well.
Your offensive line that was supposedly had 6 guys that would receive NFL grades from an NFL scout lead the conference in sacks given and pressure given up on the quarterback.
You're saying one thing, the game film says another.
Yeah, it's and in critical moments.
Right.
So it is, you practice way harder than what a game is supposed to be. In theory. Because when the game is on the line, that moment is the pressure of that moment, the stress of that moment physically is something that you simulate to the max in practice, so that in the fourth quarter, when you are dog dead tired and there's nothing left in the tank, you can still execute.
Right.
And Auburn is not, the mental mistakes, the untimely penalties
are just building.
Yeah, and then when you couple that with the fact that they're not getting any calls, they're just, anything that's close is going to the other guys.
It's wild.
Yeah, you need a bigger cushion, and that's what that touchdown at the end of the second quarter would have been. It would have been the cushion Auburn needed to maybe survive what the refs were going to do to them in the second half. That thing with the timeout with Kirby,
go ahead.
Every single Auburn, Georgia fan I know that is a reasonable human being has said he called a timeout.
There were 2 seconds left on the play clock.
He called a timeout, and they just gave him a do-over.
Which I've never heard of before.
I've never seen that.
Right.
So It was comical at points. I put my phone down. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like this. Auburn and Auburn needed that touchdown.
Yes.
Right? Because if you're going to do things like that to them, and they don't have that cushion, you're cooked. Mm-hmm. And there aren't a lot of easy outs. This was one of the more favorable schedules I think that Auburn has had in the last 25 years.
We're predicting 9 wins, possibly even double-digit wins if they
have to win out to get to 9 now.
Now, that was my next question was like, look, you have to go 6-0, and Missouri, Alabama are on that part of that schedule. You mentioned proof of concept had to be part of this year. Hugh Freeze has to show with the players he brought in, the game plan he brought in, he has to prove I'm the right guy for Auburn moving forward. He's 0-3 in conference play. Where's the confidence in Hugh Freeze at his concepts?
I think the confidence is on a scale of 1 to 10 is below a 3.
Wow.
Because you have 2.5 years of sample size. Now, he said something that I both agree and disagree with yesterday at the press conference. He said that anyone who's looking at Auburn football and can't see that it's close doesn't know what they're looking at. And it is close on the scoreboard because your defense is playing lights out. But I would argue that offensively it is not close to consistent.
Gotcha.
Right, and that's the key there is, like, yes, you've got amazing players. You've got Cam Coleman, you've got Damari, you've got Jeremiah, you've got Perry. We saw Perry Thompson,
right?
Make meaningful catches versus Georgia. I was happy to see him out there.
Jackson's a 5-star.
Yeah, former 5-star quarterback, and you're just not getting it done. So, is it really close when you have that level of talent, but the results are the floor is still so low,
right? Offensively,
where you went over in the second half. You didn't score a single point. You didn't score 1 point in that game in the second half. Not a field goal, not a touchdown, nothing. And defensively, I don't know what more they can do other than score for them.
Yeah.
So, yes, your team as a whole, like your defense brings you closer to the result that you want. But offensively, I don't know if they're close to being who they need to be to win football games. So
that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, it's really hard to pitch the close line in the midway point in year 3. This coach has gotten more resources. He's got all the alignment. Mm-hmm. He has gotten more than most coaches get. And at a place that is notorious for meddling from boosters. And I don't know. He could have asked for a better situation than the one that he's in right now.
We're going to give you all the money. We're going to believe in you, and we're just going to, in a way, pave the path for you.
A.D. Cohen has all but laid his honor on the line for Hugh Freeze and said, "Look, man, we're so close." There was and I don't know if I've ever seen this. There was a video of John Cohen jarring with the head ref, at halftime.
Wow.
Walking into on the field.
I've never heard an AD. I'm sure plenty of ADs have wanted to do that, but to physically do it in the middle of a game where, let's be honest, questionable is putting it lightly with Auburn. But this is how passionate he is, because you're right. ADs have to nail this football hire in a place like the SEC.
It is
a place like Auburn. You have to get this hire.
It is essentially all you're hired to do.
Yes, that's all you're fire the wrong one, hire the right one.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Any AD at Auburn got fired for hiring the wrong basketball coach.
Right. Or Bruce was a blessing, and hiring Stephen Pearl was obviously the layup. But here, I'm not even in Auburn. In my personal life, I'm from Texas. You guys know that at home. But just to see what's happening at Auburn is just it drives my mind crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. We're just so worried about the future. And we'll end with here. Mizzou, obviously one of these teams that's on the rise, kind of middle tier, but gave Alabama a good fight. What can we expect from Mizzou?
I think that
you have to win.
Oh yeah. It is a must-win for Auburn. Look, Mizzou is a solidly well-coached football team. I think Eli Drinkowitz has done more with less at his time there. He's done an excellent job keeping Missouri in the conversation. I think we can expect a dogfight. You talked about the games that Auburn has to get. Well, if you are to get to 8 games, you're going to get to 8 wins. Right now, you're sitting at 3. So, you've got Mercer on the schedule.
Right.
That gets you to 4 wins. Kentucky is definitely the
Should
worst
be.
team in the league, so that should be a win.
So we're at 5.
Right, so we're at 5. Arkansas,
Which is a shell of itself right now.
yeah,
6.
I mean that should get you to a
Should
bowl
be
game,
6.
right? And if you're going to exceed expectations, well, what do you have left? You have Missouri, right, and Bama. That you have to sweep those.
At least they're at home, but like my goodness.
Yeah, and again, we're missing a game with Vanderbilt,
Which
They're
is not a
sitting
sweep
as
anymore.
top 15 team.
10 years ago,
Yeah.
that was an easy win for everybody.
Yeah, so it is your tough games are Missouri, Vanderbilt, Alabama,
That's crazy.
and you've got to get the one you've got to beat Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mercer,
On the just
and then you have to get one of those 3.
so we're back in that one of those 3
right?
situation.
And that gets you to 7. So now you have to beat 2 of those 3 to get to 8, or all of them to get to 9 wins.
And even then, you're on the outside looking in when it comes to playoff contention.
Yeah, I mean that is really tough. I think if Hugh Freeze wants to be the coach here next year, you got to get to 8. And
At minimum.
Alabama needs to be one of those wins, right? You got to win the Iron Bowl. You got to win the Iron Bowl at home.
And Ty Simpson is playing out of his mind right now.
What I am telling you is that Auburn has done a really, really good job versus most of the quarterbacks they
Right.
faced. I thought they did a good job versus Gunnar Stockton.
They did.
If you can leave shades of Tommy Tuberville a la 2003, where he was getting ready to be fired for the guy who's currently coaching Arkansas. They were trying to hire Bobby Petrino.
Which is a whole nother
Yeah.
episode that we can go into.
But he got the win in the Iron Bowl that nobody thought he was going to get.
And said, like, you know what? We can't fire the guy.
Yeah, and then a year later, he went on an undefeated run.
Which he should have gone to the national championship. We have a whole documentary on WRBL about that.
So it's Rex. It's if you can get to the Iron Bowl, and if that's your 8th win, and you win that one, I think you could set the stage for what could be a really good 2026, and you can still say that the program's moving forward. But that's 5 out of the next 6. Right, and when you're finding ways to lose games, no matter who
That's
the
a
opponent
great way
is,
to put it, is finding ways to lose games.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think it's a tough math here to think, man, are they going to be able to beat Vanderbilt? Or
It's a legitimate question.
are we going to let Taylor Green look like the next coming of Peyton Manning? And are you going to lose one that you absolutely should not lose down this stretch? Because when you are finding ways to lose games, it doesn't matter who the opponent is.
It's almost like you're just anticipating to get snake bitten. It's just going to happen
That's what's
some way.
happening, yeah.
But, okay, well, all you got to do is win the rest of them.
That was a
Pretty much.
really down segment.
Right, I was about to say, optimism a premium these days because, my goodness, just win. The 6-game winning streak has to start now. We're going to end it there at Rapport Wednesday. Good luck to everybody on Saturday. But, Mike, of course, you do great work at the War Report. Where can people find all your work? And, again, you're also speaking about a Big 12 team, too.
Oh, yes. Check us out at the War Report on YouTube. Segment about Damari Alston is burning up this morning, so please go check that out. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Gittens, at Mike Gittens _ on Instagram. And then follow us at Locked On UCF as well, too. We're doing some great work over there covering the UCF Knights. They're in a rebuild as well, too. I've got an interview with their top recruit later this afternoon, and we're pumping it out for UCF fans.
Well, there we go. And good luck, everybody. Hopefully we can be somewhat happier in these upcoming weeks. Mike, my friend, thank you so much.